I'm Paul Wilkinson, and I'm filming from Kathmandu, which is my current home. I've been based in Nepal for about the last 7 years and coming here for about 25 years. I'm working very intensively with Himalayan shaman from lots of different traditions, from the Rai and the Tamang and the Gurung. And I've grown increasingly interested also in Mugger shamanism. Most of these bells are Mugger pieces. So I'm going to run through a number of shamanic instruments used for producing trance states, also for healing, but particularly instruments used for trance and for different rituals. So I'm wearing a shaman bell chain, which has got a mixture of open bells, which are often seen as related to the child principle, bells with a single slit, which are female bells. There's probably somewhere here a male bell, which has got like a cross design on it, like probably like that. That's a male bell. And then there are little loops of snake vertebrae called a nagamala. So the circle is to do with wholeness and completeness. And the thing that makes this incredibly special is this is a trumpet made from an eagle's wing bone, which I do play, but not very well yet. I'm still learning to practice. It makes a very shrill sort of sound. So that's part of my everyday kit. I don't always wear the same stuff. Sometimes I'll pick particular tools depending on what I'm doing and on the particular healing or use of it, and also the way I feel. So this also is a piece that I've had for about 20 years. It's antique, so it's many hundreds of years old. This is a kneecap of a type of mountain antelope that you get at very, very high altitudes. The black seeds are, what do we call it? Now I can't get it up. The black seeds are soap nuts. Oh, they're tangled together now. The black seeds are soap nuts, and then Rudraska, and then you've got little handmade bells which have been made using the lost wax technique, rolling incredibly fine little strands of wax. So there's a lot of the shaman items, you see the inside of the bone, and that represents a mashan. So a mashan is like a very powerful spirit, a ghost. So my teacher, Mohan Rai, said the mashan are sort of like conscripted by the shaman to work for them. So, and he said they don't like it, but it's good for them. So he said, it's a way of them sort of evolving and developing better karma, so they can come back in a better form. And then these are all Rudraska with 5 sides on it. So the Rudraska have lots of different numbers. 5 is the most common, and 5 is for Shiva, for teaching. So that would, and then the soap nut is also a type of, the fleshy part of the nut can be used for healing, for things like skin diseases. I've heard of people using it for skin cancer as well. Mohan had a client who from Germany who was very advanced skin cancer, and they'd cured with a mixture of mantra and soap nut, and he had all the medical records to show it, which was really remarkable. So on the table here is a whole array of other shamanic objects, and I've got a couple of shamanic altar statues as well, just to show the pieces. So you can see in this figure he's got, this is a Mugger shaman piece as well, and very unusual to have the stool with it, and a 3-legged stool. So that's probably got some sort of Shiva reference, but I need, and maybe triple world reference, but I need to double check that. So you can see he's wearing a rudraska. He's wearing some sort of that's probably a mirror, to like a mirror of protection to protect from negative energy. He's blowing a conch, so this is a different type of conch that the shaman used. This one's quite old, and you see that they've cut the top off there, and there's a trishul in one hand, trident on his shoulder, a bell like one of these in one hand, and a flower in the other hand. So when you're reading symbolism, you need to sort of think of all the things together. And so in this case, the conch is calling to the spirit world, maybe calling the ritual into being. They do at sort of important times, so in things like funerals. Actually, I don't know if the camera picked up, but I live quite near Swayamboo, and that was, we had conches going on in the background, as it's sort of early evening. So you tend to get rituals sort of on the hour. So these, I brought a couple of little figures down so you could see just some reference points. So a conch and a trishul. This is a Mugger shaman figure of Ganesh. Very, very primitive but beautiful. Again, a shaman figure with a big mala with other symbolic designs at the bottom. Trishul holding a conch. Usually the figures have the shaman figures have long plaits at the back. So one of the ways you can tell a shaman when they're in their sort of civilian costumes is they'll often have this long dreadlock at the back, where they might have cut the rest of the hair to be sort of normal, but you might have something meters long down the back, and then the traditional feather headdress. So the different tribes have slightly different costumes, and the costumes are also magical, and they're like a type of armour and an embodiment of the energy. So you'll have all sorts of things. So the bell chains are worn across like this across the chest. The Mugger shaman have a big belt with strung with bells, decorated with this is Mugger, decorated with cowrie shells. This has got magical stuff inside, and then that shape is sort of represents the Naga, and then the bells. So that's to go around the neck as they're dancing. And you can see with the eagle that you've got this tremendous variety. There's the masculine bell. Then you've got little silver protective things. They sometimes have like scrolls and bits of magic inside, and then with the sort of precious stones on the outside. That's a yak tail. So you've got the height, like the air and the earth present in the, and then in that case the Naga would probably be water, and the bells in this case probably fire, or maybe that fire. I'd have to talk to some people and double check that. So quite often the elements are also present, and then I'll show you a few other things. So sometimes the bells like this are paired together and they're tuned together. So I showed this in a couple of other videos, but it's absolutely extraordinary. And so they're tuned with a fit, perfect fit between them. So you can see how that would take you into a trance state quite easily. So Here's another extremely rare Tibetan bell chain, probably worn over the shoulder. But this type of bell are very, very valuable. Old ones like this are extremely rare. It's called a tiger bell. And you see you've got a sort of tiger face on there. Very, very resonant, and it's very rare because it's complete with the leather. The bell's maybe older than the leather. It's still, even the leather's probably over 100 years old. Even this is forged rather than manufactured. But unbelievably piercing and loud, quite uncomfortable to hear. So that would be used to clear the energy on someone. Maybe someone's got sort of been possessed by negative energy, or they're opening up the space where they're clearing a house, maybe where there's poltergeist in the house. So they use the sound as both as a protection to call positive spirits. So iron bells like this are often used for calling the positive spirits. So they're both protective and sort of energizing and generative, and used for producing sort of trance states. These are a couple of human bone trumpets. This one's a leg bone, and that's an arm bone. This is a pretty big guy. Arm bones are usually a little bit smaller than that. Both very nice. They're both old. This one's coated in a thick leather. When they're really decorated, they're usually sort of fake. So nowadays you get them with a lot of silver, or like tin with a silver plate on the outside, and 99.9% of these are going to be fake, and then the people gone and stolen bones from the charnel grounds or from places where they're burning the bodies, but the bodies aren't fully burnt. So, but these are old and original. So the shaman will donate. They'll say, maybe someone's a teacher, and the teacher will donate their arm or their leg to be turned into an instrument. So it's literally passing on the lineage, in a sense, that you've still got the energy of the person working through you. So you can see this is unbelievably rare, very heavy bronze. It's a Mugger shaman piece. You see he's drumming an open backed drum. In fact, that may not even be a drum. It might be like a metal plate. They sometimes drum with the metal plates, and also sometimes with these metal plates with a type of naga design used for divination. Mugger drums are one-sided. I didn't bring one down with me. I'll do that in another video. But they're one-sided with an open back. But the reason I'm thinking this is a plate rather than a drum is that it's got no crossbar. So you see he's wearing his bell chains. He's got a belt around with extra bells hanging down. This stuff with the Mugger shaman is worn almost like a bib and brace. I have an amazing one here, but I'm too big for it. I have someone who works for me who's about half my body weight, and he fits perfectly. So what else have we got? So yeah, that's a beautiful bell. So that would be used as an individual bell. So you've got the trident for Shiva, the triple energy. This is also the triple channel going up the back. So the central channel and the two side channels which intersperse. So on the Ferber, for instance, you have snakes intertwining and crossing over at the chakras. So he's praying. would often be done with mantra or with other people drumming. Sometimes the bells are used as intervals between things, and sometimes they're used as the instrument to produce a trance as well. I'll show you a few other types of bell tone, because there's a lot of variety. So that's much gentler. These round bells are sometimes called eagle bells because they're often the type of bells that people who do hunting with the eagles attach to their feet. These are all female bells. There's probably a male bell in there somewhere because they usually have at least one bell of the... you have a triple bell, that's a child bell, so it's like yin yang dao. So female again, female, female, female. So far all females, and then the open and the child. That's really unusual. Sometimes, usually there's all three sections. There's male, female and child is present, or yin yang and dao is present in all the bell things. That's sort of lighter, and then you've got this very interesting forged knots, which are like a sort of symbol for eternity, but really fine work. That's incredibly fine work. Very nice. And there's a number symbolism between the sequences of bells. So at the moment it's like mainly alternate open bell, female bell. But then there's a slightly different numbers in the linkage. It may be that the male bell is maybe missing. There's a space. So I'm guessing the male bell is missing on that. So now if I find a male bell, I'll attach that to complete it. So you can see they're incredibly ancient, and they're all being made they're hand forged. They've been made with the lost wax process, and then the bottom here are forged iron, sometimes also bronze. And another one. Lots and lots of variety. So a male bell, open bells in this case are the child bells, female bell, a whole variety of them. Really nice. And then some things with the shaman drum. So this is the dengaroo with a Ferber handle. So the handle has got three sides for the triple world, for the underworld, the world of man and the heavens. The drum itself also divides up. So the Ferber, you have the lower portion, the middle portion and the top. The top has the heads of gods and goddesses, and sometimes if it's a Ferber they have like a spirit animal on the top. And then the middle section is like a Vajra, like a thunderbolt, which is I think I had a bell with a thunderbolt, maybe it's gone, which is a symbol for unlimited energy, for thunder and lightning. And it's also a symbol for the combined elements with the void running through the inside. So in a sense you also have the void, you have the combined energy of the triple world, you've got the four directions, the centre, and the centre and the void come up through the centre of the drum into the middle of the drum. And then percussive, magical stones and crystals, and usually a little bit of copper or sometimes silver inside. So the drum has traditionally 13 elements. So you've got the handle and the bindings inside. So this is like a peg and posts across, and these, which is a type of, usually a type of bamboo, and then the frame, and the skin is usually from a male and a female animal, and this, and then you have the playing stick, which I've got here. This is an old stick, so you can see it's been bound on one end. That's usually the handle, although I've seen shaman use both ends. They're very worn, and it's in the shape like a snake. So, and that's also incredibly ergonomic, so they play from both sides. So from the other side. So you can hear both sides are a bit different. So when they're waking up the drum, they'll actually tap all the different elements. You can hear how incredibly resonant everything is. So they're waking everything up, giving blessings, and sometimes as mantras, sometimes just, I tend to do a lot of things silently. So you're giving the thank you, the gratitude into the castings at the top. To both sides. So you've woken up the drum, and then usually with some sort of intention. So this is a very simple basic rhythm that the shaman play, and when you have a group of shaman, it will build up and up and up, and you sometimes getting faster and faster, almost like a train running off. So I'll show you something quite strange. The shaman used a lot of animal parts for different types of so here, I'll just show you the link. So here you have a mug of bronze of a shaman riding a horse, and this would be like an altarpiece, and the horse is the spirit animal, so it's the vehicle of the shaman. And when you talk to the shaman about their drums, they quite often call it their horse. So they interchange the word horse with drum, because the drum is their vehicle for travelling in the other worlds. So the reason you have so many, here's a bell with a horse and a shaman on the top. The reason you have so much imagery with horses is to do with the shaman riding their drum through the spirit world. And you can see here also some shaman bells with little horses on the top. These are actually as a pair for going into trance, or three actually for going into trance. So I'll show you something a little bit odd. I don't know if I can arrange it comfortably. So here is 2 deer feet, and it's still flexible. See that the quality of the animal and the spirit of the animal, the spirit of the drum. This is also deer skin, so from a masculine and feminine deer. You've got the eagle wing, you've got the naga, the snake vertebrae. the knee bone, and then all the plants as well. So, and if you look into other, we've got two horns from different type of deer. So really extraordinary. So you can see there's a whole living world in which the shaman are embedded, where the animals are part of that life, and they're also part of the communication, and man is also part of it just as much. So just as you can use the deer feet, you also can use the human arm bones and leg bones. So it's sort of pretty important to realise there's a type of respect in this. This isn't some sort of morbid thing that you're using the human leg and the human arm. It's about the quality of the spirit of the person. So it becomes very personal. Supposing this is your teacher and you have some part of them still, some energy of them still present in the materials. So it's a little bit like the idea of truth to materials in Western art, that or sacred geometry, for instance, in a lot of religious architecture, that you have those qualities of natural well-formedness present throughout all these ancient traditions. So I hope you found that interesting and useful. Do let me know if there are videos you'd like to hear or to see. Write feedback and do subscribe. Thank you again for your attention, and see you at the next one.